We're on page 27 of our linear functions booklet. Write your questions at the top of the page. Solving absolute value equations and inequalities. So solve. -6 equals -2 absolute value of x minus 1, close absolute value, plus 4. From here, what you want to do is isolate the absolute value. So you will isolate your x minus 1 absolute value. So how do we do this? Well, first, we subtract 4 from both sides of the equal sign. Okay, 4 minus 4 is 0, and -6 and -4 is -10. Bring down everything else. From here, you would divide by -2 on both sides of the equal sign. So -10 divided by -2 is a positive 5. -2 divided by -2 is a 1. So you just have the absolute value of x minus 1. So now it's isolated. So we'll go ahead and write that out to the side to use for later when we check our answer. So now we have two equations. We're going to have 5 equals x minus 1 or -5 equals x minus 1. So from here we have one-step equations. Add 1, add 1. 6 minus 1 is 5, and that's how you can check that. 5 plus 1 is 6. X equals 6. Or add 1, add 1. -5 plus 1 is -4. So -4 equals x. Here's how you can check your work. So we'll plug in each of these and see if it's a true statement. So let's plug in 6 first. Absolute value of 6 minus 1, does it equal 5? Well, 6 minus 1 is 5, and the absolute value of 5 is 5, so that one works. That is a real solution. Okay, let's check -4. -4 minus 1, the absolute value of it, does it equal 5? Well, -4 plus -1 is a -5. And the absolute value of -5 is 5, so that works as well. So both x equals 6 and x equals -4 are solutions to this equation. Now, what if it was a positive 6 instead of a -6? Let's find out. We'll do the same steps. We're going to isolate the absolute value of x minus 1. So let's do that. The first step, you want to subtract 4. Both sides of the equal sign. 4 minus 4 is 0. 6 minus 4 is 2. So we have 2 equals, bring everything else down, -2 times the absolute value of 1x minus 1. Close absolute value. Now you want to divide by the number outside the absolute value. So we're going to divide by -2 on both sides of the equal sign. -2 divided by -2 is 1, and 2 divided by -2 is -1. So now we've isolated it. So we'll write this out to the side so we can use it when we check our answers. So from here, we're going to set up our two equations. So we have -1 equals x minus 1, or +1 equals x minus 1. So, one-step equations. Add 1, add 1. 1 minus 1 is 0, 1 minus 1 is 0. So 0 equals x. Or, add 1, add 1. 2 equals x. Okay, let's check these to make sure that they are right. So, let's use the isolated equation. Plug in 0 first. So we have absolute value of 0 minus 1 equals -1. Now, 0 minus 1 is -1. The absolute value of -1 is 1. That does not equal that does not equal -1. 1 does not equal -1. So x equals 0 is what you call extraneous. Basically, that means that after you check your work, you get a false statement. So when you check your answers, it's not always to check to see if you did the work right. It's to see if it's a real answer or not. Let's see about the other one. X equals 2. Let's plug that in. So, does the absolute value of 2 minus 1 equal -1? Well, 2 minus 1 is 1. The absolute value of 1 is 1. But does that equal -1? No, that doesn't equal -1 either. So both of these answers are not real solutions. They are extraneous solutions. One thing you could do to check yourself on this, after you've isolated this, you could never get a negative number after you've taken an absolute value of something. Alright, go ahead and write your summary at the bottom of the page on page 27.